Hey guys, uh, I recently stumbled upon this interesting platform which is called VectorShift.ai, and I was interested in it because they say that during the gold rush, um, people that sold the equipments made the most amount of money, and this seems to be like a platform to generate and build AI applications, and which got me very interested. I wanted to know how they are doing this and how what kind of products that they are providing. It seems to be like an AWS for AI. Um, Kind of, let's see. I haven't explored it. I just was interested when I saw a very brief on what they were doing, and thus I thought, let's explore it on live. Let's explore it together. So yeah, uh, let's go. So yep, they are a platform that does um, build and deploy generative AI applications in minutes, build custom chatbots, document search engines, and document creation workflow leveraging large. I think a lot of organizations could use this where they have custom data and they want those custom data to be searchable. So all these features can be used there. Let's see the demo of the platform. Hmm, how do I get this sound? I thought I had this sound, but I do not. Let me just fix this. Mm, yep, with this I have the sound. Let's test it out.
AI to your personal workflows.
Yep.
Hey, I'm Alex, co-founder of VectorShift. Today, we're launching our no-code platform to help you access customized AI solutions. Whether you're using a pre-built document search pipeline from our marketplace or building a customer service chatbot using our drag and drop interface, VectorShift is here to help you apply AI to your personal workflows. Let's say I'm a sales analyst trying to sell mobile ordering software at Burger King. I want to catch the VP's attention, so I'm going to write a personalized email. Let me navigate to the Marketplace tab and look for an email generator. This looks promising. I actually just got recommended a YouTube video on Burger King, so I'm going to paste in that URL and then tell it what I'm looking for. Let's give it a try. This is a good start, but it doesn't really sound like me. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to import this pipeline. And then we'll navigate over to the Pipelines tab, where I'll start building a new pipeline. I'll drop over a pipeline note, which lets me select the pipeline I just imported. I'm going to paste in an example of an email I wrote in the past, along with some prompts to tell large language models how to act, some inputs that I can use to pass in text, URLs, and then connect up the rest of the nodes to an output, which will generate the email. I'll name it something I can remember.
Okay, I like this. I like this a lot. Um, I like how the founder is very well versed with the product. I know obviously most of the founders are, but he seems to be very fast with it. And yep, that's interesting. I like on the product side, I like how you can give feedback to the data and you can automate that. So now let's say I want to create another pipeline. I think I can just replace this part and make it work. So that would work. Let's see.
I'll go ahead and save it. Let's give it a run. I'll put in the URL again. I'll write the same task. And now we'll see how it does. Much better. We're ready to send it off and hope for a response. Good news, the VP got back to us and the call is scheduled. Now I want to make sure I knock this call at the park, so I'm going to do some prep research. Let's navigate to the marketplace and look for some research pipelines. This looks like exactly what I'm looking for. I'm going to go ahead and put in a task, and I'll upload some documents that I collected beforehand, namely Burger King's 10Q and their earnings call transcript. Let's give it a run. Wow, I love the detail that it goes into here about all of Burger King's initiatives. I'm going to go ahead and download this and hop off to the call. Just got off the meeting and it went great. The VP wants me to draft up a scope of work. I remember one of my teammates sharing a pipeline with me for drafting scopes of work, so I'm going to go to the Shared Pipelines tab and just paste in my raw notes. I'm also going to upload the same documents that I uploaded before, the earnings call transcript and the 10Q, to give it a bit more context. Let's give it a run. With me for drafting scopes of work. So I'm going to go to the Shared Pipelines tab and just paste in my raw notes. I'm also going to upload the same documents that I uploaded before, the earnings call transcript and the 10Q, to give it a bit more context. Let's give it a run. And what do you look at that? A fully formatted scope of work. There are some places I still need to fill in, but I'll go ahead and download this and ship it right over to the VP. That's been a preview of VectorShift. Try it out for free at VectorShift.ai.
It seems to be a very interesting product. Um, and creating these pipelines are is actually a very interesting use case. It's actually like a good way to automate stuff, and I think automation is the future. It is how things would work. Slowly and gradually, we will all have to reduce the tasks that we do and shift those tasks to the computers so we can do better things. And this is one of the best things that I see. Let's see, build design for chatbot, search engine, document creation. I think they like he's mostly focused on document creation part of the, and search engine probably not that much, but like I can see the search engine aspect of that, but it's like you can upload files and then you can search from that. But mostly he in the video got more into the document creation. Build pipelines and the involving their sources, vector database, but okay, so they have an enterprise solution for secure infrastructure, retention policy. They provide like assistance, normal stuff. Let's see the. I wanna explore the product. I wanna see the things that they can do. The business side of it, uh, I'm not currently looking into it. I just want to know how this works, how um what all features that they provide, and let's see that. Launch video we have seen. Okay, fill templates on notes.
Hi, my name is Albert, co-founder of VectorShift. Today, I'm going to show you how to use the VectorShift platform to build a pipeline that takes in an example document and notes and creates.
This is buggy. Why can't I click this? Hmm. Hmm. So the click marker, like the button is somewhere on the top, and there's an image. I think that's the problem with the with YouTube, not them. But yeah, they should fix this.
And formats the notes in the format of the document. Let's go ahead into the VectorShift platform to actually run this pipeline. Now, this probably takes a bit to run, so I'm going to just get going immediately. Imagine I have an example scope of work or proposal, and I'll show you what it looks like, but it has an exact structure that we want to generate a new proposal in. Imagine we have a new client, hypothetically Pfizer, and we're trying to make a chatbot for them. So let's go ahead and press run, and it's going to generate a proposal in the format of the example. This is a very common use case in marketing and sales. I'll show you the example scope that I uploaded. My scope has two pieces. One is the purpose and engagement, which is a broader level overview of what we're going to go do. And the second is a more of a deep dive on what actually is going to happen in the project. These are the two sections we're going to ask the pipeline to generate. Now, if we head back over to the VectorShift platform, it's still running, but if we give it a minute, what actually is going on is actually learning the structure of the example proposal that's given, and it's extracting relevant pieces of information from the notes and placing it in the format of the proposal.
I want to know the accuracy of this model. Like, how much does it hallucinate? How much does it actually uh, fills in the correct information? Because so, I don't know. Like, it seems very magical. uh, the things that they are doing is very interesting. It seems very magical. Like, okay, uh, and it seems so in the example document, what all information that there are software called so this one of the problem. Okay, so globally. So yeah, so now it's changed to pharmaceutical company. Okay, so that's good. That's interesting. Okay, so it is very like it's not the exact. It's not taking all these information. It's just taking the structure of it and what kind of things it could write. So that's good. I don't see a lot of information that is here exactly uh, here, but on the output. But there seems to the model seems to be taking the data points from here. So this is a template, fill template pipeline, and so it only from the file it takes the template, and that's good. That's actually good because like if it took data and wrote software somewhere, that would have become a problem and actually not a useful product. uh, and it's very interesting. I want to know what kind of model they are using. Probably like they may not reveal such things, but and but accuracy is something that they should reveal. How much it works, how much intervention after the fact does the client their client need to take, their customers need to take. Okay.
Extracting relevant pieces of information from the notes and placing it in the format of the proposal. There we go. Looks really great. This is could save me 70, 80% of the time to make it. I would just finish it up and I can send it over to the client. Now let's actually go over to the VectorShift platform to actually show you how to actually make this. If you log in, you could click build a pipeline. Logically, what do we need to do? What we need to do is we need to be able to take in those two inputs that you just saw. One is an example document, and the second is notes. Pass that into a prompt that will go into a large language model, and we'll tell the large language model to, quote unquote, learn the format of the example document and create a new document based on the notes. Let's go ahead and do this. As I mentioned, we need two inputs. One is going to be file, upload example document. And the other one is going to be notes, which is going to be text. All right. As I mentioned, we need to load this into a prompt, which can be placed in a text box. I've already gone ahead and created the prompt to actually save us some time. There we go. So we can go ahead and
Okay, so I think they have kind of a language for templates and notes. I don't know, like from prompt I thought they would write something like taking the first input, taking the file input or something. Like they'll name this input and taking the yeah, taking upload docs as the template and this as the node, create a document. I was from prompt I thought they'll do something like that, the- but they have uh, these which I think will require a learning curve. Let's see.
connect the notes to the notes edge. And we need a file data loader, connect it to the file input, and then connect it to the template edge.
Uh, I think they can add the file data loader part of the input, file input. Uh, will like I don't see the purpose of file data loader right now for the user. Probably that someone wants the metadata of the file, and that's why they haven't done that. But I don't think that will be most of the use case. Most of like I think most of their customers would want the file data only, and they should not have this. It increases a step, and their goal should be to make it as easy to use and easy to work with minimum amount of steps.
edge. The reason is because the file loader is able to take all sorts of different types of files, whether it's documents or it's PDFs, and convert it into a format that the large language model can understand.
Yes, so I understand that can take different types of file, but in the input only, if you have that file loader function for type file, it works.
Remember, we have everything that happens in
For the user, it is much better experience.
these brackets ends up being a variable that appears on the left-hand side. And when the pipeline is run, what is connected to that edge actually replaces what is actually in these brackets. We clearly label each of these different variables so that the large language model can understand, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And we actually have these triple quotation marks to actually reference and block out the text that's coming in from the variable so that the large language model could piece together the different pieces of the input. All right, let's go ahead and connect this to a large language model.
Okay, so they are using the OpenAI chat GPT basically. Uh, that's good. Like I think Llama is also open source. Like it got leaked, so probably they could add that. And but it's a great start. Uh,
And then we're going to have an output block as well. As I mentioned, this is the prompt. So let's connect these two and then connect the large language model to the output. The final
I want to understand this prompt of what, like I get it. This is the template. This is the notes, and but how do you say in this prompt that add notes to the template? Like, and like, how does it mean? Okay, just some internal workings for understanding this would be nice.
final thing we need to do is to have a system block. This is what we're going to tell the large language model how to behave. I've actually written this already.
Okay, so this was what I was thinking would go into the prompt.
So I write that you're an expert business analyst specializing in taking notes and organizing them to fit a template. I signpost on notes and template to reference the two inputs that I see that are input into the
Okay, now I understand. Okay, that's good.
prompt. You should use a
Okay, so now this makes a lot of sense.
template as a guide for how your output should look, but you should tailor the content in your output to match the content in the notes. Do not use the content in the template in your output. Only use template to determine the structure of your output, with notes providing all of the content. Leave spaces for the user to fill in missing information if you do not have the necessary information. So what is important to call out is we don't actually want to use the example in the existing in any new additional output. So we specifically instruct the large language model to do that. Let's go ahead and connect the output of this text box to the system. And there we go. This is the pipeline. You can click finish to actually be able to run this, just like we showed you at the beginning of this video. Thank you very much for your time, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
I'm definitely sold on the product. I'll use it. I'll use it very heavily. I might even buy it. It's one of the easiest thing that I've seen in a long while. I just want to know the accuracy, but yeah. But it seems
Hi,
very
my
good.
name
Like
is Albert, co-founder.
it's OpenAI ChatGPT, so it has the same accuracy that uh, that model has. Like as a platform, as I said, having multiple models would help them. But I think they are thinking on that point because they had uh, like
Piece
options,
together the different pieces of
like if whenever he opened the LLM tab, it was yep. So I think they'll add more option. I want to know what all these are like. Was multimodal data loaders, vector DB, logic chart, but I think more tutorials may solve those. So let's see.
co-founder of VectorShift. Today, I'm going to talk about how we can use our VectorShift platform to generate a pipeline that writes sales proposals. Imagine I'm a sales rep. I speak with many prospects every single day, and some of them are interested in what I have to offer.
I like how they are marketing the product because they are giving you solid examples of workflows that can have this, and this is actually very smart and very a very good way to market stuff.
To offer. I will write a proposal based on the prospect's interests so I can engage and move this prospect further down my pipeline. However, this is very time consuming. Maybe I do 3 or 4 of these a week, and it's very repetitive, the proposals that I write. So Let's actually go into the platform and see how we can build a pipeline that automates this. I can log into the VectorShift app and click Build a Pipeline. Let's look at an example proposal so that we can brainstorm how we can build this pipeline. This is an example of this doing to create the context block. And this is a deep dive on what exactly will we be doing
Okay, so I thought it was similar as the previous one, but I think they have three input
in a
sensor. Let's
potential
see.
engagement. Let's replicate this in a pipeline independently. Taking a step back, we have to generate these two sections independently. So
Okay.
let's focus on the first piece, which is the context of the proposal. Now, let me go ahead and create some input blocks. We need to prompt the user, which in this case is I'm making this pipeline for myself, on what kind of proposal I want to write. So what are the information I need to generate the context block? Well, I think I need the client name. I think it'd be useful to input some example proposal context. And then, imagine I took some notes on the call. I want to input that and use that as collateral for the proposal. Now, how all these pipelines work is, we have some inputs. We need to pass them into some sort of prompt that prompts the large language model to produce output. We can store prompts in a text field. I actually wrote what the prompt could look like to save us some time.
And now we
Now,
understand how this works.
when we pass information into a large language model, we want to be very specific and label every piece of information. I have everything labeled here. Every time we have these curly braces in our platform, what is inside of the braces appear on the left-hand side as variables. When the pipe
So he's not using those three double quotes, which I think like that separation is necessary, because I don't know if double quotes are is the best way. Normally for code blocks, like if you look at Markdown, backticks are generally preferred, and I think going with the way it is normally will help them. But yeah, uh, I think they should keep that, because sometimes if there is problem between data and they all get mismatched, it will not work very well.
the pipelines actually run, whatever is replaced and connected to those variables actually replace everything in the curly braces. The large language model takes in two inputs. One for the system, let's go here, text block, where we can input.
They should rename. I don't know, like, but from a prompt, you think like the text that you enter. So this does not seem to be like the prompt. So probably this could go into this, and then you can output this uh, so these variables should go into the prompt, and a prompt should be outputted like that. That makes more sense to me, because these are the variables, these are the parameters, and they uh, are replaced in the prompt, the actual prompt that you provide to the GPT model, which they call as system, and then it goes to the model. So, like, considering the general terminologies that everyone uses, I think that would be a better way. But it's like that's how I think.
Put what the system should be. Again, you want to be as specific as possible here. I write that you're an engine that generates an introductory paragraph for a proposal based on notes. Keep your paragraph to a maximum of 5 sentences. The first sentence should describe the client. The remaining sentences should describe the problem that the client faces. And then use example proposal context as a template. Note that I call out things like example proposal context, and it matches out what's in the prompt here. Notes matches notes here. It really
Yeah, so this does not seem like a prompt. Like, and this, like what we call in natural language, is that this is to be a prompt. Like, whenever you enter something into ChatGPT, you enter something like this. and you call it a prompt. So uh, like the output from this should go into this, and then the output from here should go into the model, and there should be one prompt. uh,
It
that
really
makes more
helps
sense.
signpost and tell the large language model what it should be doing. Let's connect the output of this block to the system input. There we go. We have the first piece done. Let's connect just an output node and make sure we're using GPT-4 to enhance our output. Now let's focus on the 3 bullet points piece. We need to create an additional input node because we would like to give some examples of that as well. Label it this. We're going to need another prompt, which we use a text block, another large language model. I created the prompt already to speed us up. We want to connect the example proposal bullets input to the example points. And we want to input the nodes again as well. Let's connect the output to the prompt, and then we're going to need another system block as well. Here we need to tell the model to generate the 3 bullet points. So I write, you're an engine that generates 3 bullet points based on how to help this client based on notes. Again, I'm signposting on notes. Keep each bullet point to a maximum of 3 sentences, and to use the example as a template. Let's go ahead and connect this. Finally, we want to attach another output node and to use GPT-4. So this is how the pipeline looks. We have 4 inputs for the user and 2 outputs, each for one of the context sections and another for the 3 bullet points. Let's go ahead and finish. I'm going to call it proposal generate example, and then I'm going to give it a description. Generates proposal with 2 sections, context and 3 deep dive bullet points. Perfect. All right, let's go find our pipeline that we just made in pipelines. Let's say I just got off a call with Apple, and they're looking to use the VectorShift platform to generate a chatbot. So let's go ahead and fill out the inputs to generate a scope of work really rapidly. The client name is Apple. Let's copy and paste the example context. Let's copy and paste the example bullet points. And I took some notes on the call. Let's paste them in. Let's go ahead and run the pipeline. Now, as the pipeline runs, this is a workflow that took me a few minutes to make. But every time I write a proposal in the future, I can just leverage this platform to produce output. Here we go. This is the context paragraph. First sentence talks about what Apple's is.
Does it allow you to search the web? That would be a good feature to have in the longer run.
Talks about the problem that they have. And there we have it, 3 bullet points that describe how we will implement our solution, how we can help. This gets me.
But it should also not be every time. It should be like you add it to the pipeline, and then only it searches the web. The problem with Bing sometimes becomes that it searches like too much with the web, and then you get very conflicting answers from different places. So yeah.
80% there, saves me 80% of the time, and helps me generate more pipeline and take more leads instead of spending time writing proposals. Thank you very much.
Interesting.
Hi, my name is Albert, co-founder of Vector.
So right now, I think they have done document creation. Now they are moving on to search engine, chatbot, ask questions to an audio and file. Oh, nice. They have integration with Notion. Okay, nice. Let's go.
VectorShift. Today, I'm going to talk about how we can use the VectorShift platform to build a document search engine. Imagine I'm a financial analyst and it's earnings season. There's a lot of companies releasing earnings and a lot of information to process. I want to use the VectorShift platform to build a pipeline that helps me process large documents, large transcripts, and helps me answer questions that I may have. Imagine Microsoft just launched and released its earnings and released its transcript. I got a hold of the document, but
My life. I recently stumbled upon this onto search engine. Okay, I am like, my system went like off for a moment, and 1 minute, I'll be. Okay, okay, okay.
I realize it's 46 pages. It's a lot to read.
I'm back. Should have turned off my webcam also. Yeah, but it's okay. Yep.
It's a lot to process.
So
In
search engine.
actuality, I really only want to know how its new generative AI products are doing, especially Microsoft Copilot.
I think this will be very helpful for me while using understanding the AGM documents and the documents for. So I do some stock investing, and I think at that place, this will be very beneficial to use
Let's go to the VectorShift platform.
to understand how the company is progressing. If it has a good outlook or a bad outlook, and if the business is seasonal, if it's not. In those cases, this is very.
To see how we can do this. So when we open up the platform, we land on this page. Let's go to Files so we can upload the file that we just saw. I've already done that to save us some time, but you can just click Add. Now let's navigate to Pipelines. Put it into a vector database so that it can allow for user inputs, user queries, user questions to return relevant pieces, snippets of information, put that into a prompt along with the question the user asked, pass it all into a large language model to generate a response. Let's do this step by step, starting with inputting the file into the vector database. So let's take the file node and select the file that we just uploaded. Now we need to get it into the vector data loader. We also database and select the file
So they are using the vector DB
data
and
loader.
I need to know.
We also need the vector database loader and the vector database reader. What do all these blocks mean? The file loader takes a file, it could be a PDF or a Word doc in this case, and puts it into a format that a vector database can understand. The vector database loader takes that format and puts it into the vector database. The vector database reader allows for user queries to return relevant snippets of information as an output. We can use that as an input to the large language model. Let's connect all these components. Make sure we connect database to database for these two blocks. There we go. Step one's done. Step two, we need to allow for user input, which is a user question.
So these two could be like could be combined into one. So uh, like I think these two, as I said before, could be combined into one, and then its data could just go into a vector vector database instead of loader and reader. Uh, and a component that does both of them would make more sense, because at that point I don't see a place where loading, someone would want to just load, or some would want to just read without loading the vector database, and therefore in that case these two could be combined into one.
To query information and also to store it in a prompt. Let's go to home and input, and we can have text serve as the prompt. I've already prepared a prompt, and I'll walk through it. But as of right now, we need really two pieces of information in the prompt, and I labeled them clearly here. One is context, which is we need to pass in the results of the vector database query, and then the question for the user input, so that the large language model has context on both. On the input block, let's label it user question. And a text format is just fine, because we want the user, which is myself in this case, to provide natural language text. We need to input this question into the query side of the vector database reader, because the vector database reader can understand that and return relevant pieces of information. And we take those relevant pieces of information and pass it into context. Then we also
Okay, so I kind of blanked out what they did. They created an input, they add the input to the query, and then okay, so this is the prompt that they have, and
to take the user question or input and pass it into the prompt as well. Now, we need to use a large language model. Let's use GPT-4 in this case because we want good results. And we need an output node. Finally, we need to have another text block to pass into the system.
okay, so I don't understand why this result could not be the output. I think they want they are adding the model to make it more human readable. I want to understand what kind of results do we get from here, so that would help out. But I think we will have to just look at the product and see what kind of data result we get from here, and that will be nice.
Input for the large language model. The system is what we tell the model to behave like. I've also prepared that in advance to save us some time. I say you're an analyst specialized in answering questions given context. I assign post on context because that's what I label the output of the prompt is the prompt. The output of this text block is the system. The thing we want to add is I actually want to interact with this pipeline in kind of a chatbot type format. Well, a chatbot type format needs memory, which means context on previous messages that have been sent. Large language models don't actually have this. So we have a component that's actually built just for this called chat memory. Let's connect this to the prompt. So every time the prompt is passed in to the large language model, the chat history is passed in as well. Let's create another variable called conversation history. Now it appears on the left-hand side of the text block. And let's connect the chat memory. Let's select message buffer, which is how many messages.
They are doing very interesting things. And
input for the prompt. Let's select message buffer, which is
full
history input for the prompt.
I want to check which all types of chat memory they have.
Let's select
full format and full raw message buffer. I don't understand any of them, but yeah, it's very interesting. Like
message buffer, which is how many messages
they have thought and given this product a lot. Like they have thought a lot on this product, and the suggestions that I have, I could be wrong. There could be that I'm not seeing thing where you need like let's say vector db loader and reader both. So yeah,
we want to have memory of. We can right click on this block, click details, and right now it has 10 messages. We think that is fine. There we go. This is the full pipeline. It allows for an input of a file, passes it into a vector database, allows for a user question, passes the question, conversation history, and context from a vector database query into a large language model. We tell the large language model to answer questions based on context, and we output the results. Let's finish. Document analyst, Microsoft. Answers a user query. Let's finalize. Now, there's two ways we can view the output. One is through a form format, which is by just going to pipelines and clicking run, and you can just type your question here and receive output. But let's actually go to the chatbot tab and make a chatbot, as I mentioned. Let's click add. Just questions. Let's select the pipeline that we just made and select the parameters that we have. And click add. There you go. Let's click run. So imagine I have a question. How did Microsoft's Copilot product do in the quarter? Let's see what the pipeline that we just made comes up with. Now, we can actually interact in a screen just like this, but we can also output the chatbot in many different formats that we'll go through as well. One is we can have a URL. One is we can actually upload it into a website if you need. Let's take a look at the output. This is really helpful. It says the Copilot product is doing really well. Imagine this is maybe too long. Let's have the message summarized so we can test the chat history feature. Can you summarize and shorten your response to this message? Take a look at the response here. There we go. I showed the response. Now, we could take the pipeline that we just made and actually deploy it by right-clicking on the dots and clicking deploy. We can customize a lot of the colors and the naming, but let's say it's good for now. Click deploy. Then we can look at the deployment and actually use a URL and an iframe that we can embed in the website if we want. Say, I have a team member who also wants to ask questions to the chatbot. You can just share the link, and there we go. Your teammate can also ask questions. Thank you very much. Today we talked about how we can make a pipeline that answers questions based on a document. Hope you found that was helpful. Thank you very much.
Using VectorShift platform to create a chatbot. I think it's the last portion of the previous video.
Hi,
it would be
my name is Albert, co-founder of VectorShift. Today, I'm going to talk about how to use our VectorShift platform to build a customer service chatbot. Imagine I just released a new product, and we're really excited for the launch, but we anticipate that users will have some questions as well. We prepared some documentation, but we think if we have a chatbot that has the context of the documentation, which will allow users to, let's go ahead and do the VectorShift implementation as an example. You can get to our home.
This seems like their previous version of the website. I want to see how much it has changed. VectorShift. It has changed. Like this is much better looking. It's kind of trippy. These like they had a white background which did not look that good. This looks much better right now. Where's that? Oh my, where did it go? What's this website made on? Is it React? What kind of tech there? So it's a Wix site. They have. I don't think the VectorShift solution must be made on Wix, or they have that also on Wix. Let's first look at the tutorials and then come back to what this website is made on. And why isn't it working? Bruh. Is it my dark reader? Okay, so my dark reader made it look much better. Uh, they could actually like add. Look at this design. It looks like much better. Like it gives you a much better view. Uh, it's their choice, but I prefer this um, design with the dark reader much better. Uh, build the chatbot.
We're really excited for the launch, but we anticipate that users will have some questions as well. We prepared some documentation, but we think if we have a chat, it could really answer a lot of questions on the spot. Actually, click down about how our platform is structured of our pipeline builder. We think this is a good piece of collateral for our chatbot. Let's actually log in, and once you do, this is the landing page. Let's see how we can build this. Now, we can actually go to the marketplace and actually see if other people have created a chatbot, and it seems like there are two in the marketplace. We can actually see if we can leverage these as collateral. This is a simple chatbot that I found. Let's see what it's doing. What it's doing is taking in inputs, and we're passing in the question, passing in the conversation history, passing all of that to a large language model, and then producing output. I think this is a good start, but the only thing that's missing is the documentation. Let's actually import this pipeline and use it as a baseline for the pipeline that we're going to build. Click import, and we see it appear in the pipelines tab. We can go ahead and add it to my pipelines. We're going to make a chatbot, so VectorShift chatbot on documentation. Press add. There we go. Let's go ahead and edit this pipeline. As I mentioned, there's the piece that's missing. It's the actually giving the chatbot the context in our documentation. There's actually two ways.
It seems very similar to what we did last time.
Vector stores node for this exact loading. What this does is,
But he said
let's go ahead
there
and
are
edit this
two
pipeline.
ways.
As I mentioned, there's the piece that's missing. It's the actually giving the chatbot the context in our documentation. There's actually two ways we can do this. We can actually use a URL loader and then pass it into a vector database loader, into a vector database reader. What this does is every time the pipeline is run, this function is running.
They added this vector store. It seems to be like a combination of loader and reader. I don't know.
Every time. This is really good if the
but
documentation is
this was something that I suggested right now. Obviously, they had the idea by their own, but yeah.
frequently updated because we want this to be newly inputted into a vector database and queried every time.
They are smart people. They are very smart people, much smarter than me, and yeah.
Imagine we have a documentation that we don't think is actually going to change very often.
What is bookface? Okay, so I guess it's something that the Y Combinator founders use.
If we can bypass this continuous loading every time the pipeline is run, this will actually speed up the chatbot responses. We can actually use the vector stores node for this exact purpose. Let's talk through how chatbot is going to change very often. Input it into a vector database and query it every time. Imagine we have a documentation that we don't think is actually going to change very often. If we can bypass this continuous loading every time the pipeline is run, this will actually speed up the chatbot responses. We can actually use the vector stores node for this exact purpose. Let's talk through how we can actually leverage this. We actually go to the storage tab and click vector stores. I've actually gone ahead and actually created a vector storage for our documentation. And what you can see is
Okay, so vector source is not the combination of loader and reader. It's a completely different thing.
actually these stores of all these URLs that we saw earlier on in this video for the documentation. I've also added in a file for our MSA, our service agreement, just to demonstrate, we can have many different types of data in vector stores as well. To create a new vector store, just press add over here. Let's head back to the pipelines to actually create the chatbot now. Click add it. Now, we're going to actually need a different prompt because we have now 3 inputs instead of 2 because we actually have the context now from the vector stores that we're going to need to pass into the large language model. So let's bring up the vector stores. We can go ahead and click the drag down menu and click vector shift documentation. When the user asks a question, we want it to query the vector store reader and then return the relevant results and place it at context. And then we want the prompt to have the question as well. Let me call a few things in this prompt that could be helpful. First is whenever we have these brackets, the variable inside will actually appear on the left-hand side. Another thing I do is I have these triple quotation marks that clearly delineate. Amazing. Because we think we can do a little better because we know that this chatbot's only going to be for VectorShift. Let's go ahead and view what I wrote. You're a chatbot specializing in answering a question given conversation history and context. Note that I signpost on all these three variables, and I capitalize each of these beginning letters to match what I wrote down here. This helps the large language model really signpost and understand what's going on. All right, then make sure you focus and answer the question provided. You should use any relevant information to answer the question and ignore any information that's not relevant. If you do not have sufficient information to answer the question, respond with, I don't have sufficient information to provide an answer. This last part is important because it could really reduce hallucinations. But also, we're creating a vector.
I like how they are thinking about hallucinations, and they're thinking it as a problem that because LLMs have that problem. They're thinking it as a problem that could be automated and solved by the user, and which is interesting.
A VectorShift chatbot. We don't want.
So this is like a proper prompt engineering kind of stuff that they are adding, and yeah, it's interesting. I saw a course on free code camp on prompt engineering recently, and uh, that got me very excited, like interested. Like, oh, people are like properly pursuing this as something thing that as a skill that they should learn, and to work with LLMs.
Don't want the model to answer random questions. So that really helps the model perform like what we want it to do. There we go. We can go ahead and finalize. Now we can actually go to chatbots and create a new chatbot to actually with the developer node. We can, and then we can view deployment. So there's two things here. We can actually view the loaded MS. It's really good if you have the other thing we can. So I've actually set this up already.
Why can't we deploy? Like, can we deploy other search engines?
Now we have a chatbot that we're going to have 500 by 500 pixels. We can go ahead and click do and have them view it even over email, sending it over email. The other thing we can do is we can actually take this iframe and then load it into a no-code editor, like Bubble. So I've actually set this up already. We have a chatbot that we're going to have 500 by 500 pixels. We can go ahead and click this, pop it in the iframe. I've already set it to 500 by 500. And we can go ahead and preview what we just built. This provides a low-code way to actually directly put a chatbot on your website. The other thing that you can do is actually connect a chatbot via an API to actually load the responses out. There we go. VectorShift chatbot documentation. Let's go ahead and actually try the same query that we actually use. Let's see how it responds. There we go. On MSA, it's the same response, but looks accurate. Today we talked about how we can create a chatbot with our VectorShift platform. Hope you found that useful. Thank you very much.
They should give like, it's a very small thing. They should give ways to change the name of assistant and user. So if there are someone using the iframe wants, therefore it should be a React component or something, not the iframe with. I don't know. Like, I haven't seen their code, and I don't know what would be the specifics of how they will implement it. But yeah, like uh, functionality to change the name of the user and assistant. So uh, if XYZ user is signed in on the website, they can just put in that name. And if they call their assistant as something, they can use that name.
Hi, my name is Albert, co-founder of VectorShift. Today, I'm going to talk about how to use the VectorShift platform to build a pipeline that allows you to ask questions about a video or audio file.
I think I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna use this a lot.
Let's go ahead and dive right in. Just want a summary of the video, for example, and I've actually uploaded an MP4 file of another YouTube video that we posted called Fill Template Based on Notes. And you can check out that video, but what it shows is, say I have a document example and I have some notes, how can I convert the notes into this template? Now I've asked this pipeline to actually summarize this video, and here we go. That's a good summary. It is very similar to a document search engine, but instead of uploading a file, I'm actually uploading a video file here. As I mentioned, what this does is allows the user to upload a file, it stores it into a vector database, allows for the user to ask a question, which queries the vector database reader and returns relevant information and passes all that into a large language model, produces a response. This is very similar to what we are doing now, because instead of loading a file, this chunk right here, we're actually going to be loading a video audio file. So I can actually use this as a template for what I'm trying to do to speed my build up. Go ahead and import in my pipe. We don't actually need this area that loads a file into the vector database. So let's go ahead and delete. You can right click and press delete. What we need for a video audio file is actually the speech to text block. And this is because when a user uploads a file, we actually want to change it to whisper for this purpose. Let's go ahead and connect the input node to the speech to text node, and then connect this to the context output. Now we need to make a few more modifications. First, a video and audio file could be large, so we want to be able to have the large language model understand a very large chunk of text. We actually should use the Turbo 16K tokens version of the model so that it has a larger piece, it allows larger inputs into the model. We can actually right click
Use the GPT-4 model. Will have much larger.
and click details and search for the largest max tokens that it can handle. Because we just want to ask a question, we don't actually need the chat memory, so we can go ahead and delete this. We can delete the conversation history in the prompt. Those were actually present in the document search pipeline to allow for a chatbot to be placed on a document search engine. Now for the system block, we should delete any mention of the conversation history. Go ahead and delete this. Here we go. I think we have the pipeline right here. OpenAI allows the user to ask the question, passes the question into the question variable, passes the same document search system, which says your abuse only, if you don't have the right answer, please answer with I don't have sufficient information to answer the question. Finally, we of course have an output node that takes. Hi, my name is
That's
Albert,
Alex.
co-founder of VectorShift. Today, I'm going to talk about how to use the VectorShift platform
I want to see Alex too. Just
to build a
having
pipeline
some
that
fun.
generates blog articles. I've already created one, so let's go ahead and look at it. This pipeline takes in 4 inputs and it's blog articles. I've already created one, so let's go ahead and look at it. This pipeline takes in 4 inputs and generates a blog article. It takes in a topic, say we want to talk about large language models. It takes in the audience, let's say startup founders. Third, it takes in the tone. Here, I've actually pasted in some of the text. Now, logically, how can we build this pipeline? Well, first we actually need to be able to input this example text, create some sort of style guide.
They have gotten much better in explaining the product, explaining the use cases for the product. Like here, like in these videos, they are not. They're just showing us a tutorial, but in the videos that are more recent, they are showing the use cases, and the use cases help a lot.
Guide that is able to teach another language model what this style is about. Pass that style guide in along with the other 3 inputs into another large language model that's able to generate the blog. Let's go ahead and do this in the VectorShift platform. Let's go ahead and log in and build a pipeline. And to generate this, and connect the prompt model how to behave. And let's say based on, let's call it out explicitly. Create a style guide for a blog or publication that captures the essence. What it's going to do is going to go. Let's go ahead and build. One is going to be the audience. Let's go ahead. Generate from this large language model should be connected to the style variable and the second prompt. The audience input needs to be connected to the audience. Go ahead and rearrange. Then pass it into a large language model in the prompt node. And then we need another system block that tells this large language model what to do. I've already prepared the text here. So I say that you're a marketing analyst that writes blog articles. You generate a 3-paragraph long article on a given topic. Again, referencing the variable here.
Using multiple LLMs one by one will increase the time taken for a pipeline to work, and that could be a concern. Um, will have like currently LLMs are not that fast. They are okay fast, and using two of them.
The blog will be posted on an informational site and should explain the topic in detail. The blog should utilize the given style guide described
But what could you do if that's your use case?
in style for what writing
But you can combine the two prompts, probably.
style to utilize. Again, this allows you to write blog articles in a given style. The blog should also be for the intended audience and in the given tone. Let's go ahead and connect this to the system and finally connect an output block. For this, we probably need GPT-4. So let's use GPT-4 as the model so that we can generate quality output, the highest quality output possible.
Yeah, he understands that. This.
Cool. You go ahead and press finish to publish
Powerful.
this pipeline. Thank you very much. Hope to see you in the next video. Hello, my name is Albert, co-founder of VectorShift. Today, I'm going to talk about how to use the VectorShift platform to build a chatbot that queries documentation that sits in Notion. I've actually already built one already. Imagine, I want to build a VectorShift chatbot with the chatbot having information about what VectorShift is. Let's go ahead and actually ask a question about what use cases that VectorShift can be used for. What actually is going on is I've actually taken the docs, which you can find on our homepage, and effectively taken this documentation and copy-pasted it into a Notion document, which you can see here. And what's going on is this pipeline is actually querying the Notion document to see what use cases VectorShift can be used for. And there we go. Building, designing, prototyping, and deploying generative AI workflows. Perfect. Let's actually see how we can build this in VectorShift. What we need to do is first we need to actually integrate with the Notion document, selecting the right file within your Notion, and then building a pipeline that uses that document. Let's head over to the integrations tab. We can click add. Let's name it Notion documentation, the description of VectorShift documentation. Here you can find different integrations that have already been added to the platform. And if you're trying to integrate with Salesforce, Google Drive, but we actually get this pop-up that above the file is actually called VectorShare. You can click, we need to take the integration with that specific notion of relevant context. We need to feed that context along with input from the user, like a question that we just saw, along with chat history. We need to feed all that through a prompt into a large language model and instruct the large language model to be a VectorShift chatbot. Let's go ahead and build this. You can drag out the integrations node from the home tab and click on the integration that we just made, and the function is read data. As I mentioned, you can create other integrations like Salesforce in the integrations tab, and they'll all appear in this integrations node. Now, the Notion file is inherently a file, so we need to use a file loader to feed it into integrations node from the home tab, and click on the integrations in the integrations tab, and they're all a file loader to feed it into a vector database loader. Into input, the loader loads the file into the vector database.
I see the purpose of file loader, but I see but I think it can be combined with all of the, because any file you upload at the end, you will have to make it computer readable, and that should not be the job of the user um, to specify that, because it should be automatic. But
the database, and the file, and then we connect this to the reader, which allows for queries and the return of context. Now, as I mentioned, we need to allow for user input, which could be a question in this case, and this can query the vector database reader and then return relevant context. Now, we're ready to construct the prompt. The prompt will create in a text block. I've actually created it already, right here. As I mentioned, we need to feed in three things in the prompt: a question, the context, which now this is the customize the message buffer by clicking.
so I understand like all these topics, so I'm skipping fast through it because I know what a vector DB loader is. I know what a file loader is. I understand what an integration means right now. So if I want to create and use these features, I can use them. So that's why I'm skipping past through them. I don't need to know the exact examples mm, of how to build every pipeline. I think the Slack pipeline will be very similar.
Hello, my name is Albert, co-founder of VectorShift. Today I'm going to talk about how to use the VectorShift platform to build a chatbot with conditional logic. What does this mean? If you are someone making a chatbot, you may want this generative AI chatbot to leverage different data as context.
It's a very weird that how his screen always is blur and then it gets crisp after like 10-20
Different
seconds.
types of questions. For example, if you have a chatbot and someone asks questions about your company or questions about your product, the product, you might want to leverage information written about your product pages, but questions about your company may be the company FAQ that presents the context most relevant to answering this question. Let's actually go ahead into the VectorShift platform to actually see a demonstration. I actually built a chatbot that's able to both answer questions generally about generative AI or about the VectorShift platform. The VectorShift platform is best described in our documentation, which you can see on our front page of our website. Actually, we'll route into the SERP API, which is a Google search API that allows the pipeline to query Google to actually answer questions generally about generative AI. So let's go ahead and see a demonstration. Let's just ask it, what is generative AI? What's actually going on in the background is the chatbot is identifying this is not a question about
Okay, so they also have a search feature.
VectorShift. And it's actually now routing to using the SERP API to do a more general Google query to answer this question. There we go. But you can also ask questions about VectorShift. What is a VectorShift pipeline? And you'll be able to do this as well. This is going to identify that this is a question about VectorShift and route to the VectorShift pipeline. Another video about on VectorShift documentation. We could use this as the basis to create this conditional chatbot. It's routed to the vector store reader, and that context, along with the message, along with content based on conversation history and context, and spit out a response. So you can imagine that this could be the node, the logical branch that results from a classification of a question that is a VectorShift question, right? But eventually what this pipeline is going to look like is we need this classification engine at the front that says, is this question a question about VectorShift, a question about generative AI, or none of the two, which we should route to saying we can't answer this question. And classify it, and then have these two different routes that the chatbot can go. Let's go ahead and build this. Let's actually build the routing engine first. It's the information input node into a text, which will be these brackets, will be replaced prompt that will be passed into a large language model. Language model, how to be. There we go. All right, that your bot that.
Okay, so they are using a LLM to decide how if it is like between those three cases, generative AI, VectorShift, or not, something else, and then they are passing that as an input. That seems fine. Let's move on and look. I wanted to look how they are making. So it's made on Wix. There are the YouTube iframes. So is everything made on Wix? For a Wix site, this is not a bad structure. Okay, cool. Let's log in. Did I create an account? They don't have login with Google. I like that a lot. Login with Google, login with different platforms. Let's use the. Can't use this. Okay. Now let's look what this is made from. It's a Next.js site. Oh, like and it uses Material UI. Simple. Uh, is it? So obviously it would have been server side rendered. Uh, we should get an HTML somewhere. Like this is the response that we get, which is the HTML response for this page. It's not heavily rendered on the server, fairly rendered on the user side. Uh, I want to see how they are making a pipeline. Let's import the pipeline, and I think I can search it here. View. How are they building this? React Flow? Is React Flow or Dragon Dock? Okay. React Flow is used for making node-based UIs, and this makes sense. Okay. Are these dots also part of React Flow? Yup, seems like that. Nice. Let's explore some pipelines. Hmm. How do I edit this pipeline? I can't build any pipelines. Okay. So this is the input field. I just want to see what kind of fields they are. I think all this would be provided by React Flow only. Or they manage somewhere in the logic they have creation of this. This is not provided by React Flow. React Flow only provides this section of that they are using, but somewhere. How could I delete this? Okay, that's the I button. How to delete? How would I delete this? Can I right click? Yep. Input. I want to see the input types. Text file name. I can enter name. Output at the end, or you can use that for results. Text for the prompts and all those stuff, like system according to them. File for for loading the file from what is saved. Pipeline. Okay. Integrations. They did not. Okay, integration. Oh, I forgot. Integration for Slack and all that. Transformations. Hmm. Okay. Transformation file save. Either I don't remember, or either uh, they did not talk about that. Multimodal, yep. Text to speech, data loaders, files, CSV query. Okay, so they have different types of data loaders, and that's why they need to transform it. So um, I am still not. I think that this whole data loader could be integrated with uh, something like with the upload thing. Like files could be integrated, CSV query could be like this thing could be done in code to judge if it is a CSV file, if it is doc file, and then transform that data. But yeah, as I said, loader and reader could be one. Okay, so there are conditions now that you can add. If else case, I think they could also add loops. Uh, so this could become control flow, and they could add loops and chat memory. Yep, I think uh, I'll end this stream right now. It has been like more than like around 1.5 hour. But it's a very solid product. I think they are doing uh, immensely great job, and they'll make something very big out of this. Um, and I'll definitely use it. Just let's look at the pricing for once. Um, it seems very intuitive to use and very easy to use. 50 runs per month, free edition, one custom pipeline, all marketplace access, ultimate. Integrated on what are these credits? How do they work for personal use as small projects? Okay, so this is their basic tier, basically for that they want everyone to use, and I think 10 pipelines is enough for a person. Um, Three shared users per pipeline. Okay, that's interesting. It's not very costly. It's a good price for Western markets. Obviously, it's highly priced for Indian market. Um, but makes sense. How many user could there be in a team? Cool, 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 cool. We understand all the components. We understand, except the two transformation and something else. We understand how it works. We understand what's merge. Okay, cool. I think they don't want to give a for loop because that could cause problems. People can cause harms using for loop. Uh, if someone runs an infinite for loop, then just for the purpose of causing havoc, that would be a problem. But yeah, understandable. Two things that we don't understand in file save and transformation. File save, let's see, in we don't understand transformations. It's okay. We'll get that while using this product, and yeah, let's end this live stream. Bye bye.